So I'm going to discuss Dybbuk boxes. The reason why I'm going to discuss Dybbuk boxes is because there was an epidemic with them around 2019 of people buying Dybbuk boxes and opening them live on any form of social media. And you know, people were doing this because they thought this was cool, because they thought that, you know, such things don't exist. And the one thing that I will say to you is pure and simply this: whether you believe or you do not believe, whether you're religious or not religious, whether you are open-minded or not open-minded, there is always, for every single person, from the past, in the present, and to the future, and forward past that, one individual in their lifetime will experience one thing that they will not be able to explain. At least one thing. So, what I want to do is to give you some information on Dybbuk boxes and what they were created for and why and how and so on. Because I think you need to understand that, you know, if you watch my prior videos on the paranormal, the things you don't fuck with, one of them, you know, I said about Ouija boards, black magic, things like this. You are going into territory that just isn't your own. And, you know, life can be hard, but you can make it even harder. And so, you know, whether you think it's cool to do it with your mates, no, it's not cool. It's just like, you know, when I've told you that life and death run parallel, you know, they absolutely 110% do. And there's no denying that. They run parallel, absolutely parallel. So, the Dybbuk box. The Dybbuk box is dated back centuries and centuries, which will give you an indication that is something, you know, that's been around a long time for a good reason. But I think the question that most need to ask themselves is, where did the Dybbuk box come from? What is its purpose? And basically, a Dybbuk box is created to entrap something so powerful that it's hard to banish. It's hard to gain that control to break it down enough to send it back to where it came from, or to defeat it, if you will, in whatever way. So a Dybbuk box is able to trap something with a lot of power. And with that information, you then have to logically think, well, why would one do that? So a Dybbuk box isn't something that is just made. You know, you or I, generally, you know, you can't just get a bit of wood and build it, or you just can't get a random box and call it a Dybbuk box. It doesn't work like that. Dybbuk box are made in a certain way, and they are created, like I say, for a specific purpose, to hold something that is beyond our power. So if, again, with having, you know, listened to just those logical, commonsensical facts, you've got to ask yourself, is it worth you fucking around with the Dybbuk box? And the answer is no. Now, for someone to create and make something that can keep something trapped that is very, very powerful within a Dybbuk box. Takes a lot of energy, a lot of time, a lot of resources, and it takes a special kind of individual as well. So there are certain things that some people will fuck around with in their lifetime, and what you get from that you deserve. That's why I say to you, you respect the dead like you do the living. Because it always comes back in that full circle. And certain things happen to certain individuals in life because they need to learn lessons. Other times, it happens because of something that you're going through. Things happen in very mysterious ways, and I don't think many actually realise just how kind of random things can be. In regards to, you know, those kinds of things, you know, where there's obviously people that don't believe, you know, even if you're an atheist, it doesn't matter. I'm not religious. I don't like have a closed mind. I have an open mind, basically, and that's the best way you have to be in life, because there will come times that you won't be able to explain things, and it doesn't matter what amount of scientific facts you want to kind of divulge into, supposed professionals that want to kind of, you know, give you certain information, like I told you about sleep paralysis. The one side you got science, the other side you got the paranormal. So, so a Dybbuk box, you do not want to be fucking with a Dybbuk box. Now, once you release a Dybbuk box, there's a film, there is a specific horror movie, actually, and I can't think of the title of it, but it's based on true events to do with the Dybbuk box. And I guarantee if you type it in on Google or whatever, you'll find it. And it's a true story of a couple that were married. They get a divorce and they have a young daughter, very young, I think between the age of 5 and 10, something like that. And basically at a garage sale, she sees a Dybbuk box and it's being sold. And it captivates her eye, and she says, "Daddy, can I have it?" And he buys it for her, and then certain things start to happen. And this is how, even without opening a Dybbuk box, with the Dybbuk box being in your presence, can still have an effect on the things around you. So you can experience many different forms of activity, you know, from poltergeist activity, smells, flies, things like that, lots of different things. And for example, there is a specific man actually within this film where the father actually goes to a specific church and asks for help because he doesn't know what to do, because obviously his daughter ended up opening the Dybbuk box and it possessed her. You know, there were crazy things going on, and the church rejected him, but there was one particular man that decided to go against the church and help him by himself, and they managed to entrap whatever it was back into the box. And once this had happened, and this was at the end of the movie, you see this gentleman take this Dybbuk box, and he's driving in the car, and it's on the front seat next to him in the passenger side, and literally been driving. He was going to take it away, like I say. He was going to take it and hide it so it couldn't be found, couldn't be opened, whatnot. And boom, that was it. 10 minutes into his drive, he got full-on collisioned by a fucking lorry. And that was just by having the Dybbuk box by the side of him. So this is why I cannot emphasise and stress enough that you don't fuck with a Dybbuk box. And I say it that way because it's as simple and as straightforward as it gets. Do not fuck with a Dybbuk box. Because if you want to kind of live a life, what you're doing is limiting not just only you, but you're limiting the lives of others. You're putting other lives in jeopardy. So the ones that you care about. You've got to think about your future children, or even your children at that moment, or, you know, any kind of loved ones, your partners, family, whatever, friends. You do not realise the impact that they have. They can absolutely take entire control. You don't realise, but it isn't just a paranormal thing that you're releasing. You're releasing something that can fuck with your finances, that can fuck with everyday things in your life. Friendships, relationships, like I said, finances, your home, everything, mental, all of it. You do not realise what it is that you are unleashing. And you've got to think to yourself, why would someone entrap something like that in a box? And I think if you have common sense and logic, I think you can gather why. And what I will tell you as well, there are very few people in this world, in situations such as these, that will be able to get help. And you only bring it on yourselves, honestly. You know, when you decide to fuck about with forces that you have no idea. You know, you don't realise it's easy to do these things. But what it's not easy to do is to take them back and undo it, to fix it. You know, and that's why things can run in family lines. And, you know, like when I was talking to you in a prior video about curses, the only person that can undo the curse put upon yourself is the one that did it in the first place. So imagine if that person died, you're fucked for the rest of your life, and probably your generation, your next generations will be too. This isn't something that just appears and then disappears. No, it's like an infection or a disease. It slowly spreads throughout the linear lines, throughout the generations. And 9 times out of 10, Dybbuk boxes, a lot of people don't know that they're in, that, you know, they've got them basically. So what you'll find is with Dybbuk boxes, you say your grandparents have just passed away, and, you know, you inherit all of their stuff and you're getting rid of things. You know, you might come across a box and you might think, well, you know, oh, it's just a box. No, 9 times out of 10, a lot of people do not realise what they've got in their hands. And you've got to understand why it's not spoken of in the first place. If they wanted you to know about the Dybbuk box, they would have told you. But the truth is, to not tell you, they've protected you and you've been safe. And it's been hidden away and left there and not being told about, pure and simply for your own safety of the ones that, you know, they love and whatnot. So, you know, I understand that sometimes, like I say, that people don't realise that they'll automatically come into possession of a Dybbuk box. And like I say, it's generally when a family member has passed away, and what you find is they're passed down from generation to generation. You know, but it's not a good thing to do. It's not a good thing to put others through, because like I say, potentially, you know, if you're just thinking, oh, you know, oh, this is bullshit, this is just a game. No, it's not. You'll soon realise enough, like the documentary on Amazon Prime with the gentleman that, you know, kind of showed you where to get authentic Dybbuk boxes from, which he should not have done, if I'm honest with you. That made me angry, because then for people like that I'm trying to talk to right now, give you information on Dybbuk boxes to make you think twice, there are very few people, like I say, in the entire world that can save you from these situations. And that's one thing that you've got to kind of accept. If you're going to put your life and others' lives on the line, then yeah, you're stuck. It's not fun and games. If any of you've watched The Dead Files with Amy Allen, I love her to bits. She's tells it like it is, and you know, there's been times where she said you need this specific individual, and I remember watching some episodes thinking, what? I never heard of one of those before. I didn't know one of those existed. But the truth is, there's very few in certain professions that can help you. So do not, for your own free will and for your future generations, if you want to have children in your future, if you want to have a normal life, because it isn't just, like I say, about that moment and about doing it at that point in time. It has an effect throughout. It's a wild disease. It just infects everything. And it starts with the box. And like I say, just by owning a box, there's certain things that already happen without you even touching it. You know, and so yeah, you know, that's the information I'm going to give you, but I cannot stress enough to not do it. And you know, if you're kind of, you know, open-minded, that's cool, but if you're doing it and you know, you're just doing it like with a Ouija board, no. You know, there are lots of things, there are lots of different things, you know, that people do, and at the time they don't think about what it is they're actually doing, and then when it gets to the moment of truth, they aren't anything but weak and feeble and scared. And you know, it's a very, very strange thing, I guess you could say, because there are still believers out there, even though nowadays people are more open about the paranormal than ever used to be. You know, I lived in a haunted house my whole entire life. You know, I've seen a lot of weird things, heard a lot of weird things. You know, I've been close to death a couple of times in these past few years too. And I learned a lot about the sides of good and evil. And through all my endures through life, I found specific answers which are key to preventing things like this from happening. Even if, as well, I mean, you don't realise, but if for example, I were to open a Dybbuk box, like some of you have, you will lose your friends, your family, like I say, your loved ones, your kids. You will lose everything. Things will get so messed up that you won't want to exist anymore, and that's the truth. And, you know, like I say, there's very few in this world that can help you. And, you know, for the ones that do decide to do this, you're going to have to lay with that cross for the rest of your life, basically. You're going to have to just deal with it. Because there ain't escaping it once it's done. It isn't just, you know what I mean? Like I say, you got to, please heed my words. You know, it did obviously anger me a little bit that people were doing this. Because again, it's another thing. It's another thing that people want to fuck with, which, you're not even thinking about, you're not even asking the questions. What is a Dybbuk box? Why was it made in the first place? Like I said to you, a Dybbuk box is made in a specific way. You or me cannot just make a Dybbuk box and it be powerful enough to trap something that it has the strength of a good amount of human beings combined. And I don't think you realise that, and I think that's why I'm telling you what a Dybbuk box is, and it dates back centuries and centuries, and it was made for a reason. It wasn't, you know what I mean? Dybbuk boxes are not made to be found. They're not made to be open, but these days, because there's a lot of selfish individuals out there, they are selling the Dybbuk boxes, and they shouldn't be. Shouldn't be at all. It's like with Ghost Adventures. As much as I like the show, I don't like Zach Baggins at all. I think he's a bully. I think he is one of those individuals that is basically a coward. He fucks with things he shouldn't. You even have seen, if you're a fan of him, that through the demon house and whatnot, he lost his vision. That's why he began wearing glasses. That's what happens. You don't understand. And Zach Baggins, he's a common prime example of someone that doesn't give a fuck about everybody else, because he puts others in jeopardy rather than himself all the time, and he doesn't help anyone. When someone asks for help, you don't antagonize something and then leave the family to their own devices to deal with it. It's simple. For him, it's all about fame. I mean, he's got his haunted museum in Las Vegas, with all these possessed and haunted objects. And to do that is selfish, again, because whether they're in glass cases or not, it doesn't take a lot for one of you people out there to go to his museum, maybe smash a glass and run out with something, or, do you know what I mean, or something to be released. And he's taking the piss with that. If any of you actually know your history, Ed and Lorraine Warren, as soon as they come across something that's haunted or possessed, they will take it out of whomever's possession, and they have a place in their home where they lock everything away, and that room is blessed repeatedly, and that is to protect you, all of you out there, all the ones that they've helped. And that's exactly how it should be. So I cannot emphasize enough that it's not a game. These aren't fun and games. It might be, you might think it's cool at the time, but it's not. A lot of you, have had your experiences where you've gone in and you've been like, oh, nothing's going to, and something happens, and then you're fucked. And you end up being haunted or possessed, or, losing everything you've built in your life, certain things. All I can tell you is that for most of you out there that think the impossible doesn't exist, it does exist. At a point it existed. Whether it's in this time, a time before, or in the future, or even in the present, just somewhere else. There's a massive, massive universe out there. And we are just not even a speck in the system of it. So you can imagine the amount of different worlds there are out there with different entities, different souls, different energies, different strengths, weaknesses. So yeah, I hope that, this gives you more of an understanding of a Dybbuk box and the powers that it carries. And if you have further questions, just, yeah, give me a message.